Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 2 of the anime series, Ushio to Tora. And this was a pretty fun episode, although the first, 3/4 of it for me were kind of just rigmarole to a point. What I have been expecting of the series is just this sort of adversarial relationship between Ushio and Tora, respectively, and we get that in spades. I mean, it is somewhat comical that, he's bringing Tora on his back to school, and Tora is really fascinated by human history, and you have those playful jabs about, as soon as you're not paying attention, as soon as you drop the spear, I am so eating your ass. I'm going to eat you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I love that playfulness, and I love that adversarial thing. But it's kind of like, since I feel like that's all that this is really going to amount to episode after episode, I didn't feel like there was any invested interest from right off the bat. I was curious about this, stone samurai and this rock eater aesthetic that was going on. Of course, somewhat conveniently, you have Inui and Nakamura being the two sort of lead students who are going into this old section of the school to move stuff and clean stuff up, and there is this statue that seems, as the episode begins, to only have just been delivered, but you see that it's imbued with that Yuki, or that gaseous sort of spirit, supernormal stuff, the same as basically Tora was in the first episode, and that seems to be the through line of all the yokai and the spirits and the monsters, the creatures, and so you see he could sense this thing coming onto the scene, and he ends up taking it out on, of course, Ushio's TV and everything like that, the magic box, and he's absolutely captivated by how you can be on TV by the end of the episode, as well as, watching it and such, because, of course, we see that these two characters rise to the challenge. And here's what drew me in the episode was, that selflessness that Ushio put forth in wanting to save his friends. He owed them, he felt, and he was willing to sacrifice himself and face off against this rock eater, these giant centipede creatures, on his own. And even with Tora, you're a fool, kid. You're talking about taking me on. You're talking about taking on this creature. You're out of your element, as we see Ushio ends up being, turned to stone, which is basically the nomenclature of this particular creature. It turns you to stone and feeds off the fear as you are becoming petrified. And so all of those concepts were interesting, but where it really drew me in was as Ushio is pleading for Tora to, forget me, save the girls, get them out of here and everything. And you have this change, that we're witnessing through sort of the expressions on Tora's face, where he's like, this kid, I can't believe it. He's actually asking me for help after beating me up all day, after we're going back and forth all the time, the odd couple aesthetic, we're fighting amongst each other, amongst ourselves. And he's like, this feels good to be asked for help. And I was like, oh, hell yes. Because you have these characters, they're not going to get along, and they're going to be playfully adversarial, as I say. But I like that there's a hint of they could come together, that they could work together, and that's effectively what they do to destroy this creature. They unlock it from within this stone samurai, its sort of protector, whatever it is, and the spear comes to life, much akin to the Jedi mind stuff, Luke Skywalker-esque, which was like, whoa. I was like, hell yes. He can, as Tora basically exclaims, he's figured out a way to harness the abilities of the spear, even without having his hands on it. Will this carry over, or will this still be a learning curve? I believe it probably will be a learning curve for Ushio, as he does manhandle the spear, and he's getting used to it, and how there's going to be a connectivity between them. But what I really find fascinating is, like I say, they came together, they defeated with this mutual purpose, whether reluctantly or not on Tora's part remains to be seen. And in the end, they defeat this creature en masse, with a mass audience, live TV footage, news footage for all of Japan or all of the world to see. And you have even, the anchors in the news program being like, This is unaltered footage. We're gobsmacked. We don't know what the hell was going on here. The girls that went missing, we thought were kidnapped. They're all fine because of, you know, what basically Ushio and Tora did, what they brought to the table. And I liked that unification. I'd love to see more of that. I mean, don't be rid of the playful banter back and forth and everything as we end the episode. You have them like sort of look like they duct taped the TV back together, and here you have Tora just exclaiming all like ecstatic that here he is on screen, he's watching the footage, and you have, you know, Ushio on the floor bandaged up, and he's just absolutely peeved beyond reproach. So I like that there is that nature between them, that adversarial sort of quality. But I really was tantalized by this episode toward the end when you have Tora kind of, you know, reining in his adversarial looking upon this human boy who he's threatening to eat, and actually feeling good about somebody asking him for help. He spent 500 years down in that cellar, you know, pinned to the wall with the spear. He was a monster who was used to just trying to devour, you know, human life and create the world of hell or whatever it is. And so it's almost like a burgeoning excitement for me to see that character almost becoming like an anti-hero or becoming almost heroic. And working together, like I say, with Ushio as adversarial as they are, pitted against the other as they are. And so, yeah, I did actually enjoy this episode for that moment especially, and I do like all the wit and the humor and everything like that, but I really felt like going into this episode and watching the majority of it, I really wanted something to pull me in and harness my attention, and that moment was what did it for me. And not to say this show isn't entertaining, it thoroughly is, but I didn't want to feel like I was going through the motions of watching it. And when we get to that point, and these two characters are working in unification against this common, you know, adversary, this common creature, this monster, the Rock Eater, I was all just penultimately excited. And so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 2 of Ushio to Tora, if you've seen it, and what you thought of it if you had a much different experience than I did, or maybe you loved it from the beginning, you were laughing your ass off all the way through the episode or whatever it is, or were you like me, did you have some sort of reservations about it and kind of like, when are they going to get to something that attracts me and then, you know, have a burgeoning attraction with that relationship dynamic as I did. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.